Hi, you guys. Welcome to Online Stretch and Mobility Yoga. I'm Bridget. Most of you know me, of course. Make sure you have a strap handy, a couple blocks handy, again, any version of a strap, bath towel, hand towel, belt. That would just be amazing. Today we are going to look at this concept of like this wet noodle stretching, I call it, where we are going to be stretching muscles and trying to do so from a place of ease. Where often when we stretch, we're really like pulling ourselves deeper to see how far we can get. And today I want to explore this philosophy of just like getting deeper and finding release in those muscles. In order for them to kind of get that message that they can expand and that your muscles are safe. So a lot of that is going to do with your individual experience with being able to relax. Some of us are like, oh gosh, no, that's not me. So it might be more challenging, but just explore it and see what it looks like for you and give it a try. We'll cue some breath and really paying attention to the specific muscles and areas of tension that we create when we move into certain positions, and then addressing tension there. So to get started, let's just bring our feet out in front of us, kind of brace ourselves on our hands behind us, and take knees right to left. And just kind of getting that body moving, getting those joints moving. And as you do this, start to incorporate those shoulders and maybe even your neck. Just move as quick or as slow as you want as you windshield wiper those knees. Maybe pause when both knees are over to the right, so you're in this twisted spot. Draw left shoulder back and see how that feels as you look over that left shoulder. Stay twisted there and just move your gaze over to the right. You're gonna see if you feel that into your arm even sometimes. Come back and drop knees over to the left and look the opposite direction. Draw shoulder away from that twist. And then shift just your gaze over right or left shoulder. Come back and do a couple more windshield wipers with those knees. And just extend legs straight out in front of you. Take your hands and make wrist circles one direction. And then the opposite direction. Now maybe shoulders are locked, but elbows are moving and making these circles. So elbows really aren't going to move, but you're just fixing those forearms. And now you can move with those shoulder sockets. Kind of everything kind of flailing, like if you're a crazy person or something, you're like, what are you doing? So. All right, let's fold forward, reach for our toes. And you can pull yourself into this stretch to start. Just noticing where you feel tension and tuck that chin into your chest. Maybe tucking that chin really starts to get into certain spots in your back. Come on upright, bring bottoms of feet together. Let knees fall out in this butterfly pose, cobbler's pose. Maybe hinge forward, really just kind of looking at that tension and look at your range of motion and flexibility today. Bring legs out in front of you again. All right, we are going to start with our straps or belts, whatever you have. And let's unwind it all the way. We're actually going to bend knees towards us and wrap this strap around your, kind of the balls of your feet, somewhere where it can stay. Use as little or much of the strap as you need to kind of get a good grip so that strap stays in place. I'm going to turn sideways here so you can kind of see, it might look different for your body. Your legs or feet might be out a little further away, or they might be closer. Let toes pull back towards you and kind of use that strap, pull yourself into your thighs like this tight little ball. Try to really glue chest and belly to thighs, and then tuck forehead towards your knees. Kind of round through that spine. Cat stretch into this. And come upright. Let's extend those legs long now. Keep a nice tight grip on that strap. Sit up tall. And then start to pull yourself forward into this fold. Almost taking yourself to 100% stretch here actually today. I know sometimes I'm like, stay away from that, don't do that. Today we're gonna play with it. All right, once you're there, take a few breaths. We're not gonna hold it for any longer than 10 seconds. So take a deep inhale and exhale, and just drop that strap down. Let hands fall down to the mat. Palms face down. And check in with kneecaps here. Can you unlock kneecaps? This is where we start to soften. So wiggle toes. And round spine, tuck chin towards chest, but nothing too controlling in your body. Think of yourself as this wet noodle, just slowly folding. Again, oftentimes I cue like pull those toes towards you. We're just letting those feet relax in their natural spot. Whether toes flail out to the sides or touch, doesn't matter. I really want you to breathe here and find ease. So we're kind of slowly melting into this stretch. And as we stay, you might notice your knees lock. You might notice your hamstrings in particular are gripping to try and hold you upright. So I want those hands on the mat, grounding palms, so that your body gets this message to settle. We're still gonna stay here in this wet noodle position for about another minute. So sometimes our brains like to trick us in this wander. So if that's the case, just breathe. Think about softening and melting even more so with each exhale. Check back in with those kneecaps and hamstrings. Are they tensing or gripping? It's weird how our bodies, it's kind of like to repeat those patterns. Can you tuck chin into your chest a little firmer now? If that creates tension along your spine, try not to back out of it. Try to breathe and soften into those spots. Okay, we're going to stay here. This time we're going to reach for that strap and pull ourselves a little deeper into this fold. So as you're pulling here, this is going to be more of a challenge than that wet noodle effect where we're releasing, because we have this grip on the strap. And I need you to soften your shoulders and jaw. So you're letting your hands kind of pull you a little deeper. And you're trying to soften. Notice your hamstrings and back and kneecaps. Use those exhales. Those are so important to finding that ease. Maybe pull yourself a little deeper if that's available to you, and can you find a little bit more softness? Notice where your body holds tension. Maybe it's that outer hamstring, outer glute area by now. All right, release that strap. And we've been hunched over for a while, so just use your hands to sit upright. Just gonna place hands behind us, tend to those knees, and windshield wiper knees right to left. All right, thumbs up. Did that work for you guys? Like to find a little bit more flexibility? Thumbs down if it was like, that was awful. Okay, good. All right, same concept with this cobbler's pose. We've got a version here that we can loop a strap around our bodies. So do you guys have a yoga strap or is it a towel or belt? Yoga strap. Okay. If you have a yoga strap, I'm going to have you kind of swing it around to your low back. And once it's in front of you, you can make a giant circle with it. So attach that buckle loop. Then you're going to put that strap underneath your feet. So it goes over your ankles, kind of rotate it around so that you can tighten that strap any bit. What this does is kind of take some tension out of that low back. If that's not working for you, if you don't have a strap, just hands on those feet. Perfectly awesome. Sit up nice and tall and start to kind of roll into this, chin down to chest. Start to hinge any bit forward. Elbows can go to your knees or thighs. So let's pull ourselves into a stretch for a moment. Kind of try to drop those knees down to the earth at the same time. Can you pull yourself a little bit further without causing injury? And then release those hands down to the mat. You might lose some motion, this range of motion here. You might be able to stay. Whatever your body's doing, just kind of roll with it. Start to try to release tension in those knees. And if it feels better, if it helps to kind of have those hands on your toes or something here, you can do that just to have that connection, but make sure shoulders aren't causing any tension. And make sure you're not pulling yourself deeper here with the strength of your arms. This is about teaching our bodies to release and relax in this spot. So breathe easy. Use those exhales. And you kind of feel that you're at a spot where you're not releasing any more flexibility. You can pull yourself a little bit deeper. And then kind of start over. Release from that spot. Create softness. Especially those inner thighs here. Do that one more time. If you can pull yourself any bit deeper into this fold, you can do so. Maybe hold, try to find a little length in your spine. Then release again, let those arms not do any work at all. How are those hip sockets feeling? Can you create a little bit more ease there? All right, let's sit upright, nice and slow. Release that strap. Probably best to kind of unbuckle it. I feel like I'm stuck here for a second. There we go. Okay, can take that strap away. Let's windshield wiper those knees again. This is just a great way to reset. All right, so we've done some good forward fold stuff. We're gonna counteract that a bit with our shoulders. Option to use a block in just a little bit here. We're gonna start without the block. Lie on our backs. And when you're on your backs, cactus your arms out. So let me show you that motion, this motion before you lie down. So my arms are kind of parallel with the rest of my body here. And what we're going to do is almost like we were on a pull-up bar. So fingers are gripped, making fists, and then draw elbows down by your sides. Try not to let hands come forward, elbows tuck behind you at all. Really try to keep elbows tucked in. Just imagine yourself like pulling up on this pull-up bar, squeeze shoulder blades together. And then we're gonna do that same motion like we were dropping and doing into a hang position from that bar. We're just gonna move back and forth and really squeeze those shoulder blades together in this motion. So lie on your backs. Start out with those cactus arms, elbows straight out from your sides. Grip those fists. And now slide elbows down, trying to get into the ribs. Keep arms really flat. Wrists probably want to lift here. Try to glue those wrists down and notice where you might have tension. And notice if that low back likes to flail and lift here. I want you to knit low back down. So if that takes bending knees to assist with that, go right ahead. Right, from here, slide arms all the way up. Again, I want those arms touching as much as they can on the ground. Reach hands straight overhead. All right, pull those arms back down to that cactus position. This time, really pull those shoulder blades together, like you're trying to squeeze a can of soup. And now slide those elbows down. Knit low back down. Slide arms upward, staying connected to the ground if possible. Really try to make yourself. All right, let's do that motion one more time. Slide it down, squeeze that can between your shoulder blades. If you're shaking here, you're probably doing it right. And now do it one more time overhead. Take a deep inhale, and on the exhale, hug knees towards you, interlace fingers around them. Let's rock right to left, and you can shrug shoulders up by your ears, back and up and down. All right, so now let's grab our blocks. So if you don't have a block, you could roll up a mat. You could roll up a towel to kind of be the length of your spine. What we're going for here is just this pectoral stretch through our front bodies. And I'm going to place 2 blocks down in this T position. My head is going to rest on one, and the other block is going to be between my shoulder blades. And there's really no right or right or wrong way to do this, just need it to feel good on your back. Once you lie backwards, it's kind of yogi's choice here as to what you do with those arms. If you want to play with that motion that we were just doing, feel free to explore that. If you just want to hang out and lie there, find this sweet stretch in your body at any angle for those arms. Hang out. We're all going to meet there eventually. So maybe find some motion first. And then either cactus arms, if your hands are resting on the mat when you tee them off, or at any other angle, feel free to just cactus arms here for a little bit more openness. But again, find a spot where it's maybe your best stretch. Then we're going to find ease there, just like we did in our folds. So start to breathe. And I want you to take that stretch deeper, kind of 100%. And then once you reach that spot, totally melt. Hang out. If there are spots that are kind of catching for you or feel particularly stretched, direct your exhales there. Start to just send your brain this message to find ease and that your body is kind of safe in this stretch. Again, as you notice some release, find other little spots, micro movements, or places to put those arms. That you can open up. Maybe wiggle those fingers. All right, let's slowly come out of this. Back to seated. Whew. Set those blocks aside. All right, let's cross our legs this time. It doesn't matter which foot is in front. And place left hand down on the mat. Right hand is going straight up that right side and into a stretch. So you're supported on that left hand. Really press right knee down to the earth here. Take the fullest range of motion in this flexibility that you can. Deep inhale and exhale. Really find softness in shoulders and jaw and side body. Let's do that one more time. We're not going to do the sides quite as long. So create length, reach fingertips on that right hand as far into this stretch as possible. Ground right knee down. Deep inhale. And exhale. Think about your body as this wet noodle. The only thing that's really supporting you is that left hand. Even let that head fall to the side. Left ear towards your shoulder. And we're going to stay off to the left, but then place right hand down on the mat. So any angle out over that left thigh and knee. If it feels better for you to have blocks to help bring the floor a little closer to you, feel free to use blocks under your forearms here. Now ground that right hip down to the mat. Likewise, pushing that right knee down. Create this full stretch here. Try to square shoulders off to the mat. And then can you create that melt sensation here where you're letting go, just letting yourself fall. Check in with those shoulders. Make sure you're not holding tension. Let the head just be heavy. All right, we're going to take this to center now, out in front of us. So same thing here, just melting over that lap. Anything that you can do to kind of deepen this stretch and feel it to your 100%. Deep inhale. Nice slow exhale as you release. Not forcing this stretch any longer. Just trying to get that body to melt. And wherever you feel this stretch the deepest, direct your exhales there. All right, we're going to walk hands over that right knee now. Kind of exploring all those angles of our hips and backs here. So again, trying to square shoulders off over that knee. Keep hands about shoulder width apart so they can support you. If you want to like pull yourself in towards that knee to deepen this stretch as you sink left hip and left knee down. Just release that on an exhale and find pause here. And really noticing where you feel this stretch. Can you soften there? All right, let's take this all the way to the right side. Right hand plants straight off to the side. Left hand straight up overhead. And reach fingertips, ground left hip and left knee. Find full stretch. Inhale and exhale. Try to find some softness here. All right, to come out of this, we're just rolling over that right side to come back to center. Take a forward fold one more time. Seeing any progress, I say. And then walk hands on that mat towards you so that you can sit upright. Extend legs long. can take your forward fold here. Just melt into that lap again. Pull yourself deeper into a stretch as long as you find that release after about 5 to 7 seconds. All right, let's sit upright again. All right, we're going to take these into some lizard stretches. So come on to hands and knees, and actually let's do a little spinal reset with cat-cows. So from hands and knees, inhale, drop belly, gaze upward. And feel free to really pause here. Move hips and shoulders side to side. We were forward folding again for quite a bit of time, so this is a good way to counteract that. Then take it to cat stretch. And then take a few cat-cows tied to your breath. So inhale, drop belly, gaze up. Exhale, round spine. Really articulate through each vertebrae as you move here. Think about every vertebrae having to move. And round. Take one more set. All right, if you have those blocks, you can bring them handy to the top of your mat. Step forward with right foot into a lunge. All right, that left side sometimes might just be like, wow, okay. I feel that stretch already. So feel free to play here. We're actually going to take hands to that right knee. And I want the hands just above that right knee so that we can kind of move through these cat-cow stretches here. It's a lot smaller movements sometimes, but bring belly forward, lunge as deep as you can, gaze upward. And now we're going to tuck tailbone and cat stretch in that spine. Really push into that left shin and knee. Do that one more time. Lengthen and do cow. And cat. Should really feel this in that left thigh. All right, so let's go into lizard stretch now. So both hands come to the inside of that right foot. I'm going to grab blocks for myself so that we can just help find some ease here into this stretch. Oftentimes when we're here, our breath gets choppy and really constricted. So even if we don't take this as deep as we normally would, I want you to be okay with that and just starting to find some release. Hands are either on blocks or on the floor here. And this first thing is this right thigh. I want you to check in and make sure that it's relaxing. And if you are stretching there, can you find some softness? Only focusing on that right thigh for a couple moments. Maybe wiggle toes on your right foot if you're having a hard time kind of connecting with sensations in that leg. Another trick is to kind of place that right hand on your thigh so that you can just tell your brain like, okay, that's exactly where I want to relax. From there, can you find a straighter spine? So as you find a straight spine, you lengthen out the crown of your head and ground into that left knee. Draw shoulders down your back and away from your ears. Now, as we move, I want this to be less about that left thigh and more about the right hip socket. So think about that ball joint in your right hip. We're going to try and move our torso and pelvis in a way that lowers our hips towards the ground, not just our shoulders. So if you've kind of created that sensation, take a breath. On that exhale, maybe find some softness there. And it could take a lot to create softness in a deep stretch. So it might not be perfect. Really kind of having that body awareness of like, okay, I'm really not able to relax there. I'm going to come up out of it just a little bit so that hip doesn't spasm, that it doesn't get injured. Maybe wiggle toes again on that right foot. And how about if you plant those toes into the ball of your foot and lift heel up off the mat? What happens? All right, slowly come out of that. Straighten that front leg. If you have those blocks, kind of walk them off to either side of that leg so that your front leg is straight. Just let that leg be stretched and kind of swing hips side to side. You can windshield wiper toes right to left. Play with any sensations here. Maybe bend and flex that leg. All right, my surprise today for you guys. We're really not going to go into the splits, but think about if you were training to do the splits, that sensation in your body. So number one, blocks are going to be your best friend because hands really need to be supported. And if you're like, oh, heck no, just stay with this straight leg and folding into your hamstring. It's definitely okay to keep this spot right here. Working on creating length in that hamstring, but softness as well, right? Okay, for those of you who want to have a little fun, kind of seeing where your body's at with splits today, just start to slide that front foot forward and stay on your back knee. Try to create this length and sensation. But as you do so, if you're hinging forward, bring that body upright. Bring those blocks to either side of your hips for lots of stability. And when you kind of ground down into those palms and your blocks, you really might find this spot where you can soften this stretch. And just breathe. Again, don't take yourself to a spot where your breath is choppy or you can't hold a conversation. Just find some stretch. Be like, yeah, I'm not splitting today, but maybe someday. Those of us who are like naturally inflexible, we're kind of like, that journey is a long, long, long journey, but maybe someday. All right, if you have those blocks, bring them both to the inside of that leg so that we can kind of move sideways, swing it back into tabletop. Whew. All right, cat-cow is here. Great opportunity for a transition. And then let's move to that left side. So step left foot forward into your lunge. Blocks on either side of that leg or hands down on the ground. Take a lunge for a moment. See where that body's at. Then take hands to your thigh. Drop down, find that cow posture where belly comes forward, shoulders go back, gaze goes up. And then cat stretch, round spine, pull belly button towards that back. Do a few more of those. Inhale, drop belly, gaze up. Draw shoulders back, but let them still find ease here. Push into that right knee, find cat. You tuck that lower part of your tailbone towards you even more to get into that stretch. All right, let's just do one more of those. And round. Okay, we've kind of woken up those muscles. So let's bring blocks to the inside of that leg. All right, again, focusing on the hamstring on the left leg. If you take your mind off of that stretch on the right thigh, try to focus somewhere else, it's actually just going to release in its own way. So again, maybe left hand onto that hamstring, wiggle your toes. And then from there, thinking about that hip socket on the left, that ball joint, and finding rotation there as you start to lower with a long spine towards the mat. So the last thing to really be coming forward is that chest and shoulders. And while you're here, can that ball socket just a little bit more rotation in it? If it's screaming at you, take a deep breath, back out of it just a little bit. Try to find some softness with exhales. Try to get rid of that gripping sensation your body is doing. Oftentimes that's just our nervous system actually telling us, it's trying to protect us. So as you deep breathe, that nervous system actually can calm and relax the longer you hold these. All right, come up to those hands. Whew. All right, straighten that front leg. Walk those blocks back any bit. Again, kind of swing hips right to left. Windshield wiper that foot. And I'm gonna find some stability here. Take a stretch into that hamstring. Either staying there or, again, starting to walk those blocks back by your hips. Adjust that front foot and heel forward. Leave right knee on the earth. Slide any bit towards that split sensation. Again, body is upright. Really ground palms into those blocks. Use that. Can you wiggle toes on that left foot? Take some slow, deep breaths and maybe find a little bit deeper stretch. Sensations, of course, to be aware of is like pinching or feeling like you're going to scream. Don't do that. choppy breath is usually that first indicator where you're just like, probably should just hold or back out of it, find some calm. All right, we're gonna come out of this too. Bring that foot closer to you, bring those blocks. Really just anyway, there's really sometimes no graceful way to get out of things. All right, step blocks aside. Take a cat-cow here, nice and slow so that belly drops, those hip sockets release. And a cat stretch. Take knees mat width apart, big toes touch, and let's come down into a child's pose. Yeah, this might be the best child's pose you've ever taken. I don't know. Let me know when we're done with class. Might be like, wow, okay. This feels good. This is a great spot to settle. Find some ease. All right, come on up. We're gonna find a seated spot. So I wanna do bridge pose as a counter to all of that forward folds that we were doing. So if you have a block, that's going to be best because I want to find a bridge pose where you're at ease. So no block, maybe grab a stack of books, something that you're going to be able to put underneath that sacrum. So we've got 3 heights of our blocks, right? We've got low, medium, or high. And I want you to do what's best in your body. What I don't want is pain in your low back, but I want your chest to feel open, your heart, hips, everything to kind of still feel open. So let's come to our backs, grab that block, and maybe start with medium height, where you're setting that block right underneath your sacrum. Stack of books, pillows, cushions, whatever it is that you have on hand, it's all considered yoga props at this time. So as you're there, hips are supported, you're just kind of letting go. Nothing forced. So if thighs are gripping or hips, glutes, jaw, maybe. All right, if your body is feeling like, okay, this is a good spot for me, I'm gonna stay. Or if you wanna straighten those legs so that you get a deeper stretch through that front body here. You might be like, if you're on medium height block, it might feel better on the low height. Once those legs are extended, take hands out overhead, maybe interlace thumbs. Stretch as far as you can. And maybe reach left fingertips and left toes away from you. Then do the same with the right, that's reaching longer than the left side. That one more time each side. Just quick stretches on both. Let's bring hands back and walk those feet to bridge. Deep inhale and exhale. So to come out of this, I want you just to lift maybe an inch off of that block and slowly release hips down. I'm going to stay with that back flat on the mat for a moment before we move anything else. And adjust shoulders so they feel good underneath you. And any sort of windshield wipers here, right to left, small or big. Can you keep breathing here? All right, hug those knees into your chest. Make a tight little ball. And let's rock up to a seated spot on our mats. All right, hands just on our knees. You can check in here. If you want to take a moment and play with that, see what that forward fold is doing. Anything else, feel free to, or maybe check it out after class. Because it looks like I may have gone over a couple minutes, which is always awesome. Bonus time. All right, let's take a deep breath. Inhale, reach hands out and up overhead. Hands come together and down to our heart. Head bows. All right, you guys, as you go about the rest of the day, really just look at that breath sometimes as things get tense or crazy in your body and mind. Always come back to that breath of just slowly using those exhales to find ease when you need it. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. Namaste.